Listen, life's all about leveling up. Whether you're handling business on the field or kicking it in your zone, you like to celebrate with cigars that match the moment. That's why you should link up with Famous Cigars to bring you a wild deal. Right now, you can grab 8 premium cigars for just $8. You heard that right. 8 top-rated cigars at $1 a stick. Top quality brands like Oliva, Romeo y Julieta, and Davidoff. Handpicked just for you and worth over $80. Hit up famouscigars.com/cam and lock in this exclusive deal. While you're there, check out their insane selection of premium cigars, all shipped fresh and fast from their massive 20,000 square foot humidor. That's half a football field. Famous Cigars has been in the game since 1939 and still family owned. So celebrate every win with the folks at Famous. 8 cigars for $8. famouscigars.com/cam.
The Timeline is a Blue Wire podcast. Sam, I'm sitting here at home. I'm sitting here at home. We just finished a long podcast that I was really proud of.
Baby.
I'm streaming Bonnaroo. All of a sudden, you call me. You broke this news to me, Sam.
Dude, I can't sit down. I'm walking around. My microphone cable is only a few feet long. I'm walking around my bedroom right now because I can't sit down. It's our second record of the day.
Correct.
We put out an 80-minute episode on the possibility of Brad Beal, as well as a lovely draft segment with our friend Damon. Sorry, Damon. Don't care about that anymore.
I couldn't find if it was this year's second round pick. I was curious. I couldn't find it.
We don't know yet the ramifications for Thursday's draft, but that's not the point. The Suns have Bradley Beal. The Phoenix Suns are a super team. They are a super team, Mike.
For the first time ever, right? I mean, it's pretty wild. I how quickly this happened. It's one thing to hear the Suns are interested in Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's interested in the Suns, and then he's traded 8 months later. It's another thing to hear Bradley Beal and the Suns are close to formulating a trade, and it happens 2 days later, and that's where we're at. It just like that just happened. The Suns have Bradley Beal. The trade, for those who don't know, I'm sure everyone listening to this already knows. Landry Shamet. I can't believe
the centerpiece.
Starting there, the centerpiece, Landry Shamet, the player that the Wizards plan on keeping, Landry Shamet, Chris Paul, and second round picks or pick swaps. We haven't really heard. The way Shams wrote it was a handful of second round picks and multiple pick swaps, which tells me that he doesn't know the full deal yet.
It could be. Yeah. For all we know, every pick that the Suns have for the rest of the decade. And I don't know that I would give a shit. I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, this is scary. We're heading out into the unknown. A lot of people are already poo-pooing this. The nerds, the water boys, the people who don't have a reliable hezzy, a reliable 2-dribble pull-up. They're already saying depth is going to be an issue for the Suns. We already talked about all this earlier today, Mike. We just talked about it in theory. This is great. This is a wonderful, wonderful day. Regardless of your feelings on Brad Beal the fit, I think the Suns are not going to have too much trouble in convincing certain free agents to come and help fill out this roster that they may have had trouble attracting before, certain ring chasers who are going to come here on minimum contracts. And it's a wonderful day to be a Suns fan, man. I don't know what to say. Like, even if you're not on cloud 9 with me right now, which I would understand, there's all sorts of ramifications about the cap, the future, what this team is going to look like 2 or 3 years down the line. But you got to admit, this team's going to be provocative. They are going to get the strongest takes out of everyone in the entire landscape. It's going to be if you like roller coasters, this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a ride.
It's going to be one of the best offensive teams of all time. And we're just talking about a team that currently has 4 players under contract, and I think you could feel comfortable saying that already. Let me start here, though. I just want to start in this place before we get too far into this. Chris Paul so the bubble happened, right? The Suns went 8-0 in the bubble, missed their chance to make the NBA playoffs. Chris Paul made round 1 with OKC, and a team that should not have made the playoffs was knocked out in round 1 by Houston. The bubble ends, and it's clear that Chris Paul wants to play in Phoenix. The Suns trade for Chris Paul. Chris Paul joins the Suns. They make it to the NBA Finals. And Chris Paul joined this franchise at a time where they needed him the most. They had Monty Williams here for a year. They had James Jones. They had young Devin Booker still kind of figuring his way to an all-star team. And he came here and he kind of made them an adult. You know, he kind of took them to their teenage years into their adult years. And I don't want to get too far away from saying that what Chris Paul did for this team, regardless of how you feel about him now, was massive and it was important. And I just really appreciated the time he was on this team. And I'll have a ton of memories from his time on this team. And he's gone now. Like, he's traded away from the Suns. He's gone. But I don't want to get too far away from... Yeah, and he's not coming back.
It's against the rules.
Not right now. Right. And yeah, it's just... It was a great time to watch Chris Paul on the Suns. I really appreciated his time here.
That is a very good point. Chris Paul is a Suns legend. He always will be, and I will always defend his legacy. And I refuse to be like some of those fan bases out there that used to claim Chris Paul and have done nothing but turn around and shit on him for the past several years when he's obviously an NBA legend. Sucks that we made it all the way to the finals, couldn't get it done, but hell of a run.
Couldn't have done any of that without him. I mean, if you want to say that he kind of wasn't very good, or wasn't quite himself this last year, fair,
fine.
But there's a lot of fourth quarters that you could point at where that Chris Paul snatched a victory from the hands of defeat by himself. And that happened for years, two years, back-to-back years for the Suns in the playoffs and in the regular season, where they were the best clutch team in the NBA because of Chris Paul and Devin Booker. And you look, all the things that Chris Paul learned, or Devin Booker learned from Chris Paul, I think we'll see going forward, because he might even end up playing point guard for this team as they're currently constructed. So thanks, Chris Paul, and Landry Shamet. Good riddance.
Oh, man. Good luck, Landry. In all seriousness,
I don't have any good memories of Landry Shamet.
I don't have a single good memory of Landry Shamet playing basketball for the Phoenix Suns, but good luck regardless. Seemed like a decent guy. He seems like a good guy. Seems like a good guy. Yeah. Get your head straight. Welcome to Washington. I don't know what to say about their basketball group that they're going to have. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck in your free agency.
My God,
year, right?
By the way, if you're a Wizards fan right now, I mean, I know this is the Suns' perspective, but just yikes. They are years away, it feels like, from, I mean, they already were, but it's just, when's the next time a GM is going to hand out a no-trade clause like this after seeing the consequences of this
again,
trade?
Right? Yeah.
You would think never again. I still feel like someone is not going to learn from the mistake, and there will be one or two here or there, but it's going to be years. Could be decades.
It'd be one thing if the Wizards were really good. Like if the Warriors gave one to Steph Curry, it's like, okay, who cares? Like, that's Steph Curry. He's not going anywhere. They're really good. It is what it is. But that decision to keep him there, to try to convince a player to stay in Washington, I don't know that will ever happen again. Like, I just don't think it will. But yeah, it all ended up being in the Suns' favor, and I think it. By the way, I should say we recorded a podcast today already. Go back and listen to that, because we had a long conversation about Bradley Beal on that podcast, and I recommend you listen to that because we're not going to repeat everything that we talked about there, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. So take a listen to that as well. But having said that, now we're looking at a situation. We know what the trade is. There's 4 players on the Suns roster. There's Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and there's DeAndre Ayton. They were able to make the trade without trading DeAndre Ayton. There is a question of, did Bradley Beal say, I want to play with DeAndre Ayton? Maybe he did. I'm not sure that a player has ever said that before.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it too. Like, this is a team with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, right?
He said, I want to play with Devin Booker. Devin Booker, and I saw you retweeted it. He said in 2018, I want the super team to come to me. People laughed at him. like ruthlessly laughed at him because the Suns were a joke at the time. And in 2023, what year is it? 5 years later, the super team came to Devin Booker. And yes, Bradley Beal was saying, I want to play with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. He was not saying, I want to play with DeAndre Ayton. He may be thinking that DeAndre Ayton's contract could be scrapped for other parts to fit around him. I don't know if he has that level of, if he's thinking about it to that extent. But I doubt he's saying, DeAndre Ayton, that's a guy I need to play with, quite frankly.
Yeah. So now we're looking at a team that has 4 players on the roster once again. Those 4 guys. The question is, I mean, because there's one potential issue here, right? Did the Wizards not value DeAndre Ayton at all? That's probably what most likely happened. They probably valued more the idea of expiring cap space or just buying out Chris Paul and playing a bunch of bad players for a long time to try to get high draft picks. Does DeAndre Ayton have trade value is the question right now, because that will probably dictate whether or not he stays on the Suns. Because if he has high trade value right now, he's going to be traded because they need to fill out this roster with more than what they have right now. Ideally, 2 more starters, right? That's what they need.
I mean, if there is a trade out there, and we've mentioned them in the past, but if you can do Ayton for 2 or 3 role players anywhere, any team, any situation, then you take that trade right now.
Right.
We don't know if it's out there, though.
Yeah. And I wonder, like a sign-in trade, is that possible? Like, would you rather, I don't even know if this is even legal here with what the Suns are looking at, because the situation they're in is sort of unprecedented when it comes to the second apron, which, by the way, they will be a second, we can just count this right now. They will be a second apron team unless they somehow trade DeAndre Ayton for nothing and fill out the roster with minimum players. And even then, next year, they probably will be a second apron team, maybe not this year. Can they do a sign-in trade? Like, is this what would you think is the best way to go with DeAndre Ayton at this point? Should they look for 2 guys? Should they try to get Fred VanVleet or something like that for DeAndre and fill out the roster with one final player that's like better than a veteran minimum?
I am not a cap expert, but I want to say a sign and trade would be really hard given Ayton's $30 million contract value. Like, I feel like it would have been easier with Shaman and some sort of pieces or something as the outgoing stuff. But for Ayton, I feel like you're just going to run into a lot of salary issues. So I still think the best path forward is exactly what I said. It's Ayton for, is there literally anyone who is willing to give us 2 players in the $10 to $15 million range for DeAndre Ayton? Or even I would consider, like, we'll swap our $30 million guy for your $30 million or $25 million guy and give us some picks or something, some second round picks, some late first round picks, whatever, so we could replenish our youth at the end of the roster and just roll the dice on some guys and hope for the best next year. But running it back with DeAndre Ayton is certainly the worst case scenario to me.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. That would be entirely hinging your very small championship window, and it's very important to get everything right next year, would all hinge on DeAndre Ayton's ability to be entirely motivated and entirely unlocked in Frank Vogel's defensive system. And oh, by the way, you're going to get even fewer touches now because there's no way we're fucking giving you the ball when we have these 3 players also in the starting lineup. So get your double doubles, set your screens, and otherwise shut the hell up. I don't know if that's the best role for, it's the best role for Ayton in terms of being optimized for the best team, but I don't know if it's a role that he would agree to. And so that's a risky proposition right there. I'd rather he just be gone, to be honest.
Well, anyone saying feed Ayton now would be out of their mind.
And there are some people who are still out of their minds, Mike. They still
and
exist.
If that's the only way to motivate him, then there's no way to do it. By the way, you're asking for him to be consistent for the first time in his career. I think we're beyond that. It's been 5 years. I think we just have to be beyond that. He's got to go if you can trade him. But like I said, the only thing holding them back from trading him could be his actual trade value. But it only takes one team, and they have to find the right players with that one team. I think the question to think about too is, should they have a point guard on this team? Or are we at the point where this is Devin Booker playing point guard essentially, because he's the best playmaker of those 3 guys, and the other 2 guys are playing off the ball more regularly with obviously options for all 3 of them to play on the ball as much as possible. But you put a point guard in the mix, now all of a sudden you have a point guard running the offense. Yes, that point guard is going to have a lot of options with those 3 guys off the ball, But is that the best way to go when you have to find ways to divvy up the offense between these other three guys already? Should they just play with Devin Booker at point guard? Because, I find it kind of interesting to think. The one guy that Gambo keeps bringing up is Malcolm Brogdon. I'm going to name him again because he keeps bringing him up. And I kind of think, well, that makes sense defensively. It makes sense off the ball. He can still run occasional pick and rolls, but he's got size. I kind of understand that one. But what do you think about the idea of filling out the point guard on this roster?
Yeah, I mean, you need a point guard because you're probably going to need to replace Campaign too, so you can't just go in with zero point guards on the roster. But you're talking about a starting point guard. Malcolm Brogdon would be awesome.
Correct.
We've mentioned that in the past. I don't know if Boston actually has any interest in DeAndre Ayton. I think Book can just start at point guard. I want to be very clear about that.
Yeah,
and beyond
absolutely.
that, so many of the playoff switchability issues that we've worried about, that we've done the hand-wringing about for the past couple of years with Chris Paul, because Chris Paul has very much been, I think, a positive value defender throughout his stint with the Suns. But there were concerns about switchability once you get into the playoffs. That becomes so much less of a concern if your backcourt is now 6'6" Devin Booker and 6'4" Bradley Beal. Like, if 6'4" Bradley Beal is your smallest player, and again, I said this 3 hours ago when we recorded episode 1 today, Beal has had defensive concerns throughout his career. He's not known as a defender, but I truly, truly believe that you could get him to lock in a way that he just wasn't focused in Washington because he wasn't playing for anything. He was being sat at the end of seasons for tanking purposes. He didn't have any talent around him, or at least not serious talent. I believe if he's your weakest defender, I believe you could get him to lock in.
And your third option, right?
And your third option scoring-wise. But so I'm saying, like, that gives you it depends, obviously, who's going to be your center, who's anchoring the defense.
Are we back to it? Can I throw out one of my trades? I just want to mention it.
Yeah, sure.
Marcus Smart and Al Horford for DeAndre Ayton.
Marcus Smart and Al Horford for DeAndre Ayton. Yeah, I'd do it.
I know, right? Isn't it perfect?
I mean,
right?
that's starting five is, oh my God.
I don't know if they even care at all about DeAndre. And
I don't know why
it's only through Bill Simmons.
I'm going to be entirely honest. Yeah, I don't know why they would. Why they would. The teams that I keep thinking about with Ayton, it's so hard to orchestrate a trade for him. Like, I was thinking about Detroit until they hired Monty, and I'm like, damn, now they're out. Indiana had interest last year, but there's still the 1 year deadline on that, so you have to wait a little while.
Space, so you could do Miles Turner for DeAndre Ayton straight up.
Charlotte if
they hold on to that cap space.
Charlotte is the one I keep coming back to. It just feels like a DeAndre Ayton team, man. They don't really have it. They have Mark Williams, but they don't really have a center. Just feels like an Ayton destination. They have 1 million picks this year. They've got a fat Gordon Hayward expiring contract, which I know you don't love. I know you don't love. But the number of destinations, San Antonio.
I mean, they have Terry Rozier though. That's the interesting thing with Charlotte, right? You could get Terry Rozier and Mark Williams. Maybe
we really do. Yeah, I mean, we don't need Terry Rozier absolutely at this point.
Well, off the bench, if he's coming off your bench as your sixth man, that's
if Booker is our starting point guard and Bradley Beal is our starting shooting guard, and each of them are already playing 36 minutes per game. Granted, they're not going to play every game. We already know.
Each of them are playing 60 games a season.
There are going to be some injury concerns here. But
uh-huh.
I don't know how ideal Charlotte is as a trade partner. Just one that I've thought of. San Antonio is still out there. I don't know what they're willing to give up if they even. I mean, they're about to draft Wemby.
Well,
so
what would it be? I mean, Doug McDermott
and pick swap. They've got a nice second round pick, like number 31 or something, and maybe another role player. I don't know. I have to look at their cap sheet. The point is, it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to find an Ayton partner. There isn't an obvious one.
Yeah, Orlando. I don't know. Maybe you could think of something there.
Wendell Carter is better. Carter is better.
Mean they wouldn't do it,
and he makes. Well, I know. That's fair, but he makes 1/3 of the salary or 1/2 of the salary at most. He's got a decreasing salary, and he's better.
What would it be like? Because they're not giving up Franz, Paulo,
no.
Fultz, maybe Cole Anthony. Actually, maybe they would be willing to give up Cole Anthony, and he could
be willing to do that.
The backup guard, maybe, and you could do Wendell and Cole. But they still have a lot of bigs on that team.
The point is, if it wasn't already clear,
Mo Wagner? I don't know.
No, they wouldn't do that.
Mo
Wagner? No, Mo Wagner, they might do that. Mo Wagner's
they might do that. Yeah, I don't know. They have his brother on the team. So.
The Suns already took their big swing. Bradley Beal was the big swing of the offseason. They are going to be above the second apron. They are not going to have a taxpayer mid-level exception. They are going to have to fill out their roster with a bunch of minimum contracts. That's the next part of the conversation that we can get to in a second. But the only other way to improve the roster here is to find one of these willing DeAndre Ayton suitors. There is no other way. There is no, $5 to $10 million free agent signings. That's just not going to happen.
There's no free agents other than minimum contracts now. Just write that off right now. That's
just write it all off out of your head. We're not going to have any picks. Landry Shamet is gone. Not that he had any. Well, I guess he had Brad Beal trade value, but in a vacuum, he didn't have any trade value. At least if you asked me 2 days ago,
the most trade value on the team. Yeah.
There's nothing else. We've got 3 players. We're trying to swap Ayton for 2 or 3 more players, and then we're going to fill it out with minimums. Hopefully, you can bring back some of the guys. There really are some of the guys who I thought played well last year, who I would love to bring back on minimum deals. Jock Landale's in that camp. Bismack Biyombo's in that camp. Damian Lee, Josh Okogie. I don't think you're going to be able to get or convince all of them, but as many of kind of those guys as possible are willing to just return for minimum deals. I'd be open to all of that. But that's it. That's going to be the roster. Here we go. Are you convinced? Is this a championship team?
I find think about the plays the Suns are running, and look, the offense I think is going to get more sophisticated now. By the way, shout out Kevin Young, who had the opportunity to probably leave. Maybe Detroit was his option. Maybe finding a head coaching job was out of the question for him since he had accepted that assistant coach job. But he's tasked with handling the offense for the Phoenix Suns, and now all of a sudden he has maybe, I don't know, is Brad Beal one of the best third options all time? Like, I can't. This guy averaged 31 points in the NBA. Now he's got to come up with an offense with those 3 players, and I don't know how hard it's going to be. But you think about some of the plays the Suns were running in the postseason alone, just like starting with the idea of posting up Kevin Durant and him getting doubled on every single post up. What do you do when there's 2 guys that are off the ball, can do anything once they catch it? Anything. Yep. They can catch, they can drive, they can get to the rim, they can pull up from mid-range, they can pass, they can play make for others, they can hit cutters. Like, I just don't know what you do. Again,
every single doubter right now is bringing this, is comparing this trio to the Nets trio because it's only natural. Kevin Durant was on both teams, and that blew up in their face. That trio in Brooklyn we never saw for more than 20 games. And a couple of critical differences. First being that none of the 3 guys on this team carry the baggage that Kyrie Irving does.
James Harden.
Well, I'm going to get to him, but let's just start with Kyrie Irving, who is a very, very talented basketball player. And if you ask me, by the way, Bradley Beal is the best third option since who? I would say probably since, Kyrie Irving, I think, was on that level, or even James Harden, if you count him as the third option on that team. But it's just they never played together, a lot in part because of Kyrie's shenanigans off the court. Beyond that, though, if you talk about the on-court fit, all 3 of these guys have off-ball spacing value. All 3 of them are willing to take shots, take catch-and-shoot 3-pointers, and make them at above a 40% rate, as I just tweeted out just before we hopped on this podcast. Bradley Beal, 40% catch-and-shoot 3-point shooter last season. Kevin Durant, 43%. Devin Booker, 44%. Yes, obviously all of them are talented isolation scorers as well. All of them have the mid-range dribble moves in their bag. But it's not like James Harden, who does not take catch-and-shoot threes or mid-range shots at all. It's not like Chris Paul, for the past couple of years, who we've witnessed, does not take catch-and-shoot threes. Guys who just are not comfortable. When they don't have the ball in their hands, they don't know what to do. Yep. These are 3 of the most selfless stars in the entire NBA that you could possibly pair next to each other. And as long as they don't bring too much of their own personal egos into the equation, of course, that's always a question, but there should be no question about their on-court basketball fit. It just makes sense. It's like you couldn't dream of a better scenario than this. You just need to find 2 guys around them who can kind of shoot and kind of play defense, and you're going to be fine.
I went on the FanDuel. I don't know if there's any gambling apps that sponsor our podcast, but I'm going to mention FanDuel here. I went on the FanDuel app immediately after this trade, and I was trying to find any futures for Devin Booker's assists, and I couldn't find any. But every year we do an over/under podcast where I make up some over-unders, and that assist number for Devin Booker is going to be fascinating because I think he's a lot of people, I think, still don't realize just how good of a playmaker Devin Booker has become in the NBA because he's sacrificed a lot of those playmaking duties to allow other guys to succeed. You know, playing with Chris Paul means that he's not going to catch and shoot like you mentioned, so it kind of has to mean that he handles the ball quite a bit. And, you know, people forget. I'm doing a people forget here, but people forget in 2018-19 he averaged 6.8 assists a game on a team that had no offensive threats. None. A terrible team. 6.8 assists a game. 2019-20, 6.5 assists a game, and that was with Ricky Rubio on the team who needed the ball to be successful as well. Now, last season to 5.5, which was his third most in any season where he kind of took the ball away from Chris Paul a little bit more than the previous 2 years. And now we're looking at a scenario where we're staring down the barrel of, is Devin Booker going to be handling the ball sort of full time for this team with Brad and Bradley? Should we call him Bradley? He seems to go by Bradley, right?
Call him, apparently Brad is listed as one of his Basketball Reference nicknames.
I guess it's a nickname.
In addition to Real Deal, which I've heard.
Real Deal Beal, yeah. That's
Real
his,
Deal Beal, that's his Twitter handle.
Yeah, handle. Right? Yeah.
Big Panda, which I have never heard. Blue Magic, which I've never heard. And Dr. Dre. Dr.
Dre?
Bradley Beal, a.k.a. Dr. Dre.
They're just making stuff up now.
Oh, yeah, they always do.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
We'll call him Brad.
We got to workshop some stuff, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, Devin Booker handling the ball with those guys off the ball, I think there's a chance his scoring goes down, his assists go up. But I think there's also a chance that Devin Booker all of a sudden with the ball in his hands more and the spacing that comes with those two guys off the ball is all of a sudden scoring 32 points a game. This could go either way for me. I really don't know what it's going to be, but I do think that if the assists are set at 5.5, I'm betting over regardless. If that's because that's what he had last year, and I think he's going to have the ball in his hands more this coming year, even if the scoring goes up. And I think that's going to be a fascinating experiment. I mean, look, Kevin Young's got a lot of opportunity here to earn himself a head coaching job somewhere else in the NBA.
Absolutely. If Kevin Young also, just how difficult is the coaching position in the NBA in terms of like hurting the various personalities of players. So if Kevin Young can orchestrate a successful offense with these three guys that kind of keeps all of them happy in terms of their touches, everyone's going to be impressed with that. He's going to have a head coaching position in no time. Let's talk about filling out the roster because obviously that's what people
perfect place to go.
It's what people are going to be thinking about and talking about for the next couple months. Again, something I mentioned 3 hours ago. Ring chasing. We all know it's a thing. It's been a thing for years. The Suns have never really been in the position to benefit from it, right? When was the last time the Suns signed a ring chaser? Someone, and my definition of a ring chaser is someone who is worth more than a minimum contract, but chooses to sign a minimum contract with a contender because they feel that it's their best opportunity. Usually a player in their 30s or, in the second half of their career, where they feel it's their best opportunity to win a ring, to win a championship.
Yeah. Well, we thought it would come after the finals, and it didn't, remember?
It did not.
We're like, oh, cool, they can sign ring chasers now, and it's like crickets for the next two off seasons. Yeah.
Nope. But that was a Chris Paul, Devin Booker-led Suns team.
Right.
That otherwise was surrounded with fun players in Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton, but not players who necessarily command that level of respect, not players like Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. There should be ring chasers this time around. I already guarantee you, this crazy dude, Matt Ishbia, is going to be out there trying to get all the ring chasers. He understands what the cap constraints are. He understands he can only hand out minimum contracts, but that's not going to stop him. That's not going to stop him from calling up James Jones and saying, hey, can we get Draymond Green on a minimum contract? Could you call him about that? Can we get Russell Westbrook? He's gonna call him. He's going to say, just try it. Just try it.
Do you have guys in mind right now?
I mean, I just tweeted about two that I think would be hilarious.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Pat Bev and Dylan Brooks to the Phoenix Suns. Can you imagine? You talked about, first of all, getting a point guard. Could you imagine kicking out Chris Paul so there's no more beef?
Yep.
And in comes Patrick Beverley.
Yep.
And Dylan Brooks, two of the most hated defensive enforcers in the entire NBA. They're both free agents. Around three of the most talented triple threat scorers.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
what do you
let's
say?
do it. Yeah, why not?
I think it is. I think it.
No, I hate it. I do hate it.
I think it is the funniest possible.
I was being sarcastic.
It's so funny though. It's so.
Yes, it
funny.
is funny. Absolutely.
You would grow to like it.
Yeah, maybe.
You would grow to like.
Any other names? You want me to throw some out? I've sorted. Here's what I did. I sorted all free agents by age.
Do it. Hit me.
So Udonis Haslem, number one.
Nope, not him. Not him.
He's 43 years old. Let's see. Jeff Green?
Yeah, I'm in.
Champion now?
He's a champion.
Why not? Danny Green?
Don't really think he has any juice left in the tank.
What about Joe Ingles?
Joe, don't think he has a ton of juice left in the tank either, but I'd take a flyer on Joe Ingles.
He can hit, it's just,
He can stand in the corner, hit threes.
Yeah.
What about Kevin? Big. Kevin Love?
Kevin Love, I mentioned that on our 3 hour ago podcast as well.
Would be kind of nice to have like a floor spacing 5 who kind of just gives as much space as possible for these
can
three
actually
stars.
Start fast breaks. I've never seen DeAndre Ayton throw an outlet pass in my life. So seeing Kevin Love do it would be bizarre, especially with 3 guys just like running down that can score from anywhere. And Brad Beal loves that one step over the 3-point line, hard dribble, step back 3. And that's so hard to guard in a fast break scenario. So, that's going to be fun. Brooke Lopez, probably out of our
range. Although
right?
I do have a question here. What do you think? Mason Plumlee, what do you think his market is?
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, is he a fully free agent? He doesn't have a player option or anything?
He's an unrestricted free agent with bird rights. He's been in the league for 10 years, never really been on true contending teams. And I think a guy who could get a mid-level, not a full mid-level exception, but I think a guy who could get like $7 million a year from someone. Yeah. But if he was want to come here for 2, I wouldn't say no. Like that's a real guy. I'd be okay, for the record, if the Suns just end up bringing back Jock Landale and starting him at center after they trade Ayton for some other pieces. Yeah. Like I think it's workable. It's not ideal, but I think it's workable.
No, it's not ideal.
But if you could get someone,
some options.
If you could get someone better, you could get a Mason Plumlee. It'd be pretty.
Plumlee
damn good.
was impressive in the playoffs. I was impressed by his physicality, his passing. The occasional grab and go dribble too is nice to see from a center. Let's see. Russell Westbrook. Maybe with Vogel on the team, maybe not. Right?
I mentioned him. He's definitely up there. Dennis Schroeder.
I think that's out there. He's played for Vogel before. He's probably familiar with the system. They're probably players who can play well together. Here's one.
He's kind of either really solid or he sucks, depending on the year. So it's a risk, but yeah.
This player, you may have heard of him. His name is Jay Crowder.
So here's the thing. I'm still salty about Jay Crowder. Still don't.
But the fit
is good.
It's real good.
Honestly, that one entirely depends on like if Book says Jay Crowder is valid, then fine.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't hold it against Book because I feel a certain way about Jay Crowder. So like, and I'm not on the team, as you all know, I am not on the Phoenix Suns. I am not in the locker room. I am not in practice. I would understand. I would sympathize if Book still kind of felt like Jay quit on us. So that's one where if he says no, then don't do it. If he says yes, then okay.
I think
Jay Crowder,
guys.
Dylan Brooks, Pat Bev, and Draymond Green, bring them all here. Just assemble.
Frank Kaminsky, give him a locker room contract to be fun in the locker room. Yeah, it's kind of hard to find these guys. I haven't looked through the entire list, but we're up to like guys like Harrison Barnes and Jordan Clarkson that are just probably just out of our range.
No, they're out of our range.
What they're going to pay, and they're 31-year-olds, and then you start getting into guys in their 20s. And I think that's going to be, and it's possible. Like there will be guys out there that maybe quote unquote failed on their previous teams that could be had. Like I don't know, what is Karis LeVert going to make in the future? Like I have no idea.
Not much.
Yeah, will he be willing to sign a 1 year? Yeah, or Oladipo. Will they be willing to sign a 1 year veteran minimum contract to restore their value and try and win an NBA championship? Maybe. Yuta Watanabe.
That's a great one.
That's a great one. He's 28. He's probably going to do it. Yeah.
KD likes playing with him too. Yep. Yeah. Good 3-and-D guy. Yeah. I mean, as you guys see, there's all sorts of options. It's just we're going to continue to talk about them, but there are going to be plenty of options or plenty of opportunities for someone to assert themselves as the sixth man of this team. Because plainly you can see that
that's a good point.
It's going to be tough.
Well, it depends what they trade because they could trade DeAndre Ayton. If I guess I should say it depends if
unless they trade DeAndre Ayton for Terry Rozier or whatever, then we're having a different conversation. But
so let me ask you this: let's say we have 3 guys in the starting lineup. 3. We're gonna, you know who the 3 are? They're the super team right there.
Mm-hmm.
What is the perfect fit of the other 2 guys? What archetype would be what you want?
So I would start. I mean, it's hard to do this to hold me like to one thing because
it's true. You're right.
No. But I'll try and answer your question.
Right.
I think in most cases, like there are certain point guards who I think could start, and it would be great. But in most situations, I'm starting Booker at point guard. I'm starting Beal at shooting guard, or just like wing.
You're talking offensively here, right?
Yeah. KD's at the 4. And so basically we have one spot on the wing and we have one center. That's what we're looking for. Unless you could sell me on like a really good point guard. If Malcolm Brogdon is actually out there, I think I could be sold. But for the most part, I'm just looking for a wing who can hit threes, play a little bit of defense, maybe attack a closeout. That might be asking for too much already.
Right.
I don't know. And for a center, I think ideally I'm looking for a guy who can protect the rim and space the floor, but that's kind of a lot to ask for.
So we're talking Marcus Smart and Al Horford, right?
Yeah, we are. Talking Marcus Smart and Al Horford.
I think defensively is what you need 2 guys who can play defense but aren't complete negatives offensively. Right? And the ideal for the 3 in your scenario where Book is the 1, Beal is the 2, the ideal for the 3 is that they can guard 1 through 3 offensively.
Right.
You know, they can guard a point guard, they can guard a shooting guard, they can guard a small forward because we need these guys are going to have to guard now because all 3 of them are going to play together. So they're going to have, you can't hide all 3 of them.
They can.
And they all can. You're right. Yeah. I think
Book
Booker
had
and
a sensational, KD has shown it for 10 years. So there should be no question. Book was sensational in the playoffs on defense.
He really was.
He really was. But to your point, we need balance, right? I think ultimately don't swing too far to one side or the other because you could easily think about it. You could slot Josh Okogie in at the 3 and Bismack Biyombo at the 5 and whatever. Those are 90th percentile defensive players. They're awesome. But they're so bad on offense, both of them, that you would still struggle, even with the talent of your 3 superstars. I think you would still struggle to run a coherent offense. So I'm just kind of looking for a couple guys who are okay,
like
maybe at both.
Jay Crowder, like for real, is a good fit. Like actually is.
Yeah.
Because you put Jay Crowder in there. Yes, he's not a great shooter, but he can shoot open threes. He's also unafraid to shoot them, which is something Okogie struggled with. And he can guard, 2s, 3s, and occasionally 1s. And he's a good, strong, big defender that if you don't want to put Durant on someone to get outworked, you can put Jay on them. I don't know that Jay would be willing to come back, but I can't help but think about it if he's a minimum player now, which, by the way, he might be. He just was signed on the Bucks and they didn't even play him.
He sucks.
They just completely didn't play him. I don't know if he sucks or if it was just bad coaching, but
I have a feeling he sucked in practice or something, or maybe his hey, wild idea, right? Maybe his conditioning was out of whack because he took 4 months off.
I don't know. There was a lot of videos of him working out that he posted himself.
I don't know, man. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. In the meantime, folks, we have Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. By the way, Devin Booker might be the best player of the 3. That's going to be a fun conversation
part. That's
to
exactly
get to.
what I said on our Patreon. This is our 3rd episode about Brad Beal in a row. And by the way, I think for our next one, main feed episode here, maybe even soon, we don't have to wait too long to do it, but I would like to just do a deep dive into some of the crazy stats when it comes to Brad Beal so people can really learn. Maybe have a guest who covered the Wizards in the past so we could really learn who Brad Beal is as some fans. Because look, as much as people claim to be watching the Wizards, I know you weren't. Don't lie to me. You weren't watching the Wizards. None of you out there were. I know I wasn't. Only when they played the Suns. So we're going to have to really learn who Brad Beal is together.
This is going to be a lot of fun. Podcasts every day for the next week. We're going to be so amped up. Not actually. Don't hold me to that. But Mike, it's
2 a day at this point.
We're 37 minutes in. By the way, folks, I'm still standing. I never sat down. I've been standing for 37 minutes. So I hope you appreciate the hustle. Put out an 80-minute podcast earlier today. 40 minutes now.
We're going on 2 hours here, yeah.
The draft is Thursday. We don't know what the fuck is going to happen, but
I don't know that they have any pick. Maybe they'll buy their way back into it if they traded one.
Or maybe they trade DeAndre Ayton before Thursday, and
that's true.
They get back in. So we're still going to watch it. We're still going to cover it.
Yeah, maybe on playback. I don't know. If they have a pick for sure, maybe on playback. But if
what
if
else?
They definitely don't, probably not.
Mike, anything else to do? Plug the Patreon?
Yeah, if you want to join the Patreon, you always can join the Patreon. But the thing I want to plug is go back and listen to the last episode we recorded earlier today, if you can, because I promise there's some good stuff in there, including a fun draft segment if you missed it, where Damon, our friend Damon, gave us 3 prospects and a lie, which was 2 real prospects and 1 fake one. And Sam and I had to guess which one was fake. And I won't tell you who won that one, but it was a fun one. So I suggest you go back and listen to it. But yeah, obviously this is going to be a fascinating thing for us to cover. Look, 5 years into this podcast, this will be our 6th season covering. And now we're going to be covering a super team. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It just keeps getting more wild. It just keeps getting wilder.
That Matt Ishbia, man, we really, I remember when the Suns were for sale, Woj called them a sleeping giant. Windy went out there and said, this is a real destination for star players if they can get the right owner. And boy, was Robert Sarver holding this team back. That is the main lesson I think you could learn from all this, because, man, as soon as he leaves, so much has happened, and you can see it all happening right now. So shout out to Matt Ishbia, who is really putting his money where his mouth is. But we'll cover every part of this from every angle, and we thank everyone for coming to us to cover it. It's been a long day, Sam. I think we can take a break now. What do you think?
I'm cool with that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll catch you very soon.
For over a century, Johnny Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereaux Golf, Johnny Walker introduces the Johnny Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, Blue Label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted by Devereaux Golf. Submit proof of your achievement to johnnywalker.com/blue-in-1. Please drink responsibly.